Headaches and migraines. An ancient method of selecting medicinal plants that are appropriate for a particular person. 7 herbs in the Jewish medical tradition for relieving headaches and migraines described in My Ancestors Diaries. Headaches and migraines are among the most common ailments known to human society since ancient times. Different cultures had their own approaches to their treatment, but the Jewish medical tradition, formed at the intersection of ancient texts, observations, and practices, gives a special place to the pharmacy of God. In the Jewish medical tradition, preserved in manuscripts, recipe collections, and family traditions, a special place is occupied by plants included in the pharmacy of God, the name of a group of medicinal herbs mentioned in ancient texts and respected to this day. This story will consider the principles of determining the 7 herbs that were most often recommended for a particular person to relieve headaches and migraines, and will also provide recipes and methods of use preserved in the Jewish medical tradition. The Jewish medical tradition was formed at the intersection of the cultures of the Middle East, the Mediterranean, and Europe. Already in the Talmud and medieval medical treatises there are recommendations for the use of 7 herbs to treat headaches. A special place was occupied by caring for the harmony of body and spirit, and the recipes themselves were passed down from generation to generation. The 7 herbs described in the story are not just the legacy of ancient knowledge, but also living evidence of people's desire for harmony with nature and the search for health without side effects. The Jewish medical tradition, preserved through the centuries, offers not only recipes, but also a philosophy of self-care, including respect for plants, awareness, and gratitude, qualities that are relevant today. Today, recipes from the pharmacy of God continue to be used in traditional medicine. Many modern specialists confirm the effectiveness of these remedies, and as a supplement to the main treatment. Individual approach to prescription in the Jewish medical tradition, special attention was paid to the individuality of the patient. The sages emphasized that the selection of herbs is based not only on symptoms, but also on the characteristics of the body, lifestyle, dietary preferences, and even the season. An important principle was to establish the cause of the headache. Overwork, emotional stress, sleep disturbance, nutritional factors, all this was taken into account when choosing a plan main selection criteria. A headache type, acute or chronic, location and nature of sensations. A general conditions of the body, presence of other symptoms, weakness, tension, digestive disorders. A history of use, traditional recommendations recorded in Talmudic and medieval medical texts. Availability and freshness of herbs, preference was given to local and fresh plants. 7 herbs. The exact description of the list of herbs varies depending on the individual patient. The following 7 plants are given as an example and are found in ancient and medieval Jewish medical works. 1. Melissa officinalis. Melissa was considered a universal remedy for relieving nervous headaches associated with overwork. Its pleasant aroma soothes, reduces anxiety, promotes relaxation. 2. Lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. Lavender was used to relieve migraines accompanied by insomnia and sensitivity to light. Its essential oils were used in the form of compresses and inhalations. 3. Rue, Ruta graveolens. Rue was widely cited in Jewish medical treatises as a remedy for relieving vascular spasms. It was prescribed for headaches caused by overexertion or changes in atmospheric pressure. 4. Peppermint, Mentha piperita. Mint was used as a cooling and pain-relieving agent. A paste of fresh leaves or an infusion was used for a light massage of the temporal region. 5. Cinnamon, Cinnamomum verum. Cinnamon was recommended for headaches associated with colds, inflammatory processes, and congestion. It was often added to decoctions and mixtures with honey. 6. Sage, Salvia officinalis. Sage was used to strengthen the nervous system and relieve chronic pain. Its infusion was used for rinsing and as an additive to tea. 7. Camphor, Camphora officinarum. Despite its specific smell, camphor was included in ointments and compresses for acute attacks of migraine and vascular headaches. Recipes and methods of application. Decoctions and infusions. Jewish doctors recommended preparing decoctions and infusions from 1 or more herbs, based on individual symptoms. For example, a Melissa and lavender infusion. Pour 1 teaspoon of dried lemon balm leaves and lavender flowers into 250 milliliters of hot water. Leave for 15 minutes. Drink 1/3 cup 2 to 3 times a day. A rue decoction with honey. Boil 0.5 teaspoon of rue for 5 minutes in 200 milliliters of water. Add a teaspoon of honey. Drink in small sips. Compresses and ointments. Mixtures of lavender, mint, and camphor essential oils were applied to the temples and forehead for quick pain relief. Mix 2 to 3 drops of lavender and mint oil with 1 teaspoon of base oil, olive or almond. Gently rub into the temples and back of the head. A camphor ointment. Grind 1 g of camphor with 20 g of unsalted butter. Apply to the forehead and temples. Leave for 10 to 15 minutes. Tea blends. Combined teas of sage, lemon balm and cinnamon are used to strengthen the nervous system and relieve chronic pain. Pour 1 teaspoon of sage and lemon balm, 0.5 teaspoon of cinnamon into 300 milliliters of hot water. Leave for 10 minutes. Drink warm in the morning and evening. These 7 herbs for relieving headaches and migraines are also described as an example in the diaries of my ancestors. A lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. A melissa, Melissa officinalis. A ginger, Zingiber officinale. A chamomile, Matricaria chamomilla. A mint, Mentha piperita. A rosemary, Rosmarinus officinalis. A sage, Salvia officinalis. Lavender. Lavender is mentioned in medieval Jewish recipes as a means of relieving tension and relieving headaches. The aroma of this herb calms the nervous system, relieves vascular spasms. Recipe: pour 2 tablespoons of lavender flowers into a cup, pour hot water, leave for 10 minutes, strain. Take 100 milliliters 2 or 3 times a day. Lavender essential oil can be used for temple massage or inhalation. Melissa. Melissa, or lemongrass, was revered for its calming properties. Jewish medical texts often recommend brewing lemon balm for nervous headaches. Recipe: 1 tablespoon of fresh or dried lemon balm leaves is poured with a glass of boiling water, infused for 15 minutes. Drink warm, slowly, in small sips. Ginger. Ginger is known as a remedy for relieving inflammation and spasms, helping with migraines and headaches caused by overwork or weather changes. Recipe: cut the ginger root, about 2 centimeters, pour boiling water over it, infuse for 10 minutes. For migraines, you can add a little honey and lemon. Some manuscripts advise making compresses from a ginger decoction on the back of the head. Chamomile. Chamomile is a universal remedy for relieving pain, balancing the nervous system, and improving sleep. In Jewish traditions, chamomile was often used in the form of tea and decoctions. Recipe: pour 2 teaspoons of chamomile flowers with a glass of hot water, leave for 10 minutes, strain. Drink in small portions throughout the day. For children, use a weaker infusion. Mint. Mint has a cooling and relaxing effect, helps with vascular headaches and migraines. Recipe: brew 1 tablespoon of mint leaves in a glass of boiling water, leave for 10 minutes, add a little sugar or honey. Use for compresses on the forehead and temples or drink as tea. Rosemary. Rosemary was traditionally considered a stimulant of blood circulation. It was used for headaches caused by poor oxygen supply to the brain. Recipe: pour boiling water over 1 teaspoon of rosemary needles, leave for 7 to 10 minutes, strain. Take a quarter of a glass 3 times a day. Sometimes rosemary was added to herbal mixtures for inhalation. Sage. Sage was valued for its antiseptic and strengthening properties. Jewish sources often recommend using sage for headaches associated with colds or inflammation. Recipe: pour a glass of boiling water over 1 tablespoon of sage leaves and let steep for 10 minutes. Drink half a glass twice a day. You can do inhalations for cold symptoms. Methods of using and combining herbs. In the Jewish tradition, herbs were often combined with each other, creating mixtures that enhance the healing effect. Teas, infusions, compresses, essential oils, and aroma lamps were recommended to relieve headaches. Particular attention was paid to rituals. Prayer and meditation before using herbs were considered an important part of the healing process. These 7 herbs for relieving headaches and migraines are also described as an example in the diaries of my ancestors. 1. Mint, Mentha piperita. Mint was known in Jewish medicine as nana. Its leaves were used to prepare infusions and compresses. According to the works of Rambam, Moshe ben Maimon, fresh or dried mint leaves were poured with hot water, infused for 10 to 15 minutes, then applied to the temples or forehead. Such a compress relieved tension and vascular headaches. Sometimes mint was added to wine or vinegar to enhance the effect. 2. Rosemary, Rosmarinus officinalis. Rosemary was called rosh marin, and was revered for its ability to strengthen memory and relieve spasms of the blood vessels of the head. Ancient healers recommended making a decoction or infusion of rosemary and drinking it in small portions at the first signs of a migraine. It was also recommended to inhale the aroma of fresh rosemary sprigs or rub the temples with essential oil of this plant. 3. Lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. Mentions of lavender can be found in medieval Jewish medical texts. The scent of lavender was believed to be calming, relieve nervous tension, and ease pain. Doctors advised adding lavender flowers to the bath or using them as a base for sachets placed under the pillow. For migraines, it was recommended to inhale the steam from lavender infusion. 4. Tansy, Tanacetum parthenium. Tansy was one of the most famous herbs for migraines. Its leaves and flowers were used in the form of powder or decoction. Healers advised chewing a small amount of fresh tansy or drinking an infusion based on it. Talmudic texts contain the opinion that, when used correctly, tansy relieves acute attacks of headaches associated with weather changes or hormonal changes. 5. Myrrh, Commiphora myrrha. Myrrh resin was used not only as incense, but also as a component of medicinal ointments. Myrrh was dissolved in wine vinegar and the resulting mass was rubbed onto the temples and the back of the head. This method was recommended for headaches associated with colds and inflammations. According to ancient medical sources, myrrh also strengthened blood vessels and contributed to the overall health of the body. 6. Basil, Ocimum basilicum. Basil was popular in Jewish gardens and was considered a universal remedy for many ailments. An infusion of basil leaves was recommended for headaches of vascular origin. Sometimes basil was mixed with honey and the resulting mass was placed on the forehead to relieve tension. Doctors noted a slight vasodilatory and antispasmodic effect. 7. Melissa, Melissa officinalis. Melissa, or lemongrass, was valued for its mild sedative effect. Doctors of the ancient era advised drinking tea from lemon balm leaves in the evening for those prone to migraines, especially for those who suffered from anxiety and insomnia. Melissa was also included in complex tinctures and balms used to generally strengthen the nervous system. Practical recipes and approaches of ancient doctors. The uniqueness of Jewish medical practices lay in the synthesis of knowledge from different cultures. Ancient doctors advised using herbs not only internally, but also externally, combining herbal medicine with breathing exercises and lifestyle changes. For example, the following recipe was common: boil a mixture of mint, rosemary, and lemon balm, let it brew for 20 minutes and strain. Take half a glass twice a day and simultaneously inhale the steam from the infusion. Another recipe suggested rubbing a mixture of myrrh and lavender oil on the temples at the first signs of a migraine. It was important to observe moderation and an individual approach, which is emphasized in many Jewish medical treatises. Conclusion: 7 herbs, mint, rosemary, lavender, tansy, myrrh, basil, and lemon balm, have been used for centuries in Jewish traditional medicine to combat headaches and migraines. Their effectiveness was recognized not only in the framework of ethnomedicine, but also in the works of ancient doctors, many of whom relied on the experience of their predecessors and the research of different peoples. Modern science largely confirms this knowledge, but it is important to remember: herbal treatment requires individual selection and consultation with a specialist. Thus, Jewish traditional medicine has made a significant contribution to the formation of a culture of healthcare and the transfer of healing knowledge from generation to generation. Traditions and symbolism. Treatment in the Jewish medical tradition was closely linked to spiritual practices. Before using herbs, special blessings were pronounced, and the collection of plants was carried out with respect for nature. It was believed that the correct combination of prayer, attention to one's condition, and the selection of herbs helps to achieve a more sustainable and profound result. Prevention and lifestyle. Along with the use of herbs, Jewish doctors recommended maintaining a moderate work and rest regime, regular sleep, separate meals, and avoiding severe stress. Herbs were considered part of a holistic approach in which spiritual and social aspects of life occupied an important place. Conclusion: the Jewish medical tradition offers a unique, scientifically based and at the same time filled with deep respect for nature approach to the treatment of headaches and migraines. The 7 herbs discussed in this story not only alleviate suffering, but also help restore harmony to body and spirit if used with caution, attention to one's own characteristics, and in combination with spiritual practices that have been preserved for centuries.